Hi, so I have Mr. Kamal Youssefi with me, who is the founder and chairman of Hashgraph Ventures, a $100 million Web3 enabled fund based out of ADGM. Hi, welcome.
Hi, pleasure meeting you. Thank you for having me.
So how does the first close of the Web3 and AI fund strengthen Hashgraph Ventures' position within Abu Dhabi's digital ecosystem?
First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about the Hashgraph Ventures. The Hashgraph Ventures represents the continuation of our ecosystem development activities efforts that we have started a few years ago. Hedera Hashgraph, back in September 2021, we allocated roughly $5 billion worth of coins to be dedicated for the ecosystem development activities. The majority of this amount has been already deployed in form of grants and innovation programs, venture building programs, enablement and empowerment, which includes trainings, hackathons, and a variety of support functions for the community. The focus since last year was how can we bring these businesses and these startups to the next level by helping them commercialize their use cases and their projects. And one of the key pillars to achieve that symbiotic ecosystem within Hedera ecosystem was to establish a venture capital fund, a regulated fund out of Abu Dhabi, because Abu Dhabi and more specifically ADGM has a sophisticated regulatory framework towards Web3 and the usage of emerging technologies. So the first step was to establish a $100 million fund to provide scale-up funding for follow-on investments and also scale-up funding for all the businesses, for all the startups that have succeeded in hitting their milestones, successfully completing their innovation and venture building programs within the Hashgraph Association. And now they are in a stage where they would like to scale up their businesses and expand into other jurisdictions. So in a summary, the Hashgraph Ventures Manager 1 is the very first step towards establishing a symbiotic ecosystem within Hedera orbit. And number 2, it's basically the vehicle that is responsible for channeling co-investment opportunities from third parties, be it family offices or Shahid-oriented individuals, or even other venture capital funds that would like to tap into the Web3 expertise that our team is providing in this context.
So will you be running any programs to educate the startups who can approach you?
We have a different entity, the Hashgraph Association, which is out of Switzerland. The Hashgraph Association has actually 5 different programs, ranging from innovation programs, which is dedicated for early stage startups, all the way up to SMEs, small and mid-sized enterprises. We have also even an enterprise program dedicated for enterprises that are willing to speed up their transition from a Web2 organization to a Web3 organization by leveraging Hedera Hashgraph capabilities. And we have other programs, be it the partnership programs or the training and certification program, venture building programs, where we help entrepreneurs, innovators to speed up the transition from a business concept or a business idea towards an MVP, a minimum viable product that can be packaged within a startup, and we help them to commercialize that. So in a summary, we have a cohesion ecosystem set up where the Hashgraph Association is tasked with the ecosystem development activity, basically mobilizing the community, providing educational and certification programs, basically equipping Hedera Hashgraph community with the technical and the functional knowledge to design, develop, and deploy viable solutions on Hedera network. And the Hashgraph Ventures Fund is the entity that is tasked with the second strategic object, which is funding, basically deploying sizable investment to attract and, most importantly, to retain high growth projects, and also attract and retain talent and help cross-pollinate between the startups and the enterprises that we have onboarded through the innovation programs that we have been launching and carrying over the last 5 years.
And there has been a sudden surge of startups in Web3 ecosystem. So how do you ensure sure that you help those startups which are going to perform better in the future?
So what we do basically, we focus. I mean, if you look at our at the Hashgraph Group, we have basically 5 strategic objectives, basically 5 strategic pillars that we are following. So the very first one is enablement and empowerment, basically training and education, because if people don't understand the technology and the platform, then it's going to be challenging for them to come up with viable businesses and use cases. The second pillar, which is funding, that's something that we help by securing funding and kind of take care of fundraising for their businesses, be it by deploying investments directly from the Hashgraph Group or the Hashgraph Association, or bring in our investors network that are interested in investing in Web3. The third pillar is it's the acceleration. Acceleration basically represents a bunch of I call them incubation and acceleration programs, including venture building programs, where we provide support functions, be it technical expertise support, engineering support, business development support, all the way up to appointing mentors and board members to help the management of the startups to navigate through the daily challenges. The fourth pillar is scale up, basically engaging with ecosystem partners, be it management consulting firms, academic institutions and universities, technology firms, system integrators, to have that access to all these key ecosystem partners for our ecosystem. And last but not least, which is the hidden, or I call it the strategic pillar, is cross-pollination. What does that mean? Since we have access to Fortune 500 organizations, large corporates and enterprises, we try to cross-pollinate between enterprises that are anyway looking into innovative Web3 solutions and link them up with one of our portfolio companies that have proven and established solution that's been built on Hedera, and try to serve that enterprise by connecting them with that startup. So the startup ends up having a client that is adopting their solution. The enterprise ends up having a ready to deploy or a production-ready solution from the startups. And Hedera as an ecosystem wins because we see the network utilization, we see momentum happening in the ecosystem, and we see value creation happening from different ecosystem partners. So this is basically the big picture, how is our ecosystem is working.
So have you found any such startup here in ADFW?
The team, so the CEO of our ventures fund and the investment committee have been involved in so many meetings and workshops. There is a clearly defined process where we start with the interviews, we start with the reviews, all the way up to the go, no-go sessions and the investment committee sessions, where the investment committee members check the different criteria, be it business viability, technical feasibility, financial model, all the way up to the legal and risk assessment, and of course including KYC on the founders and UBOs. And then once they tick all the boxes, then certainly they invest in. But what I can share, we already identified 3 potential investment opportunities during this week.
That's right.
One is in the telco space, one is in sustainability, and one is in on-chain finance / in the real-world asset tokenization space. And I believe we will continue this journey and just try to partner with local ecosystem partners, be it venture building partners or incubation and acceleration hubs, to tap into these opportunities in the region.
Many organizations are accelerating AI adoption right now. So what do you see as the most urgent regulatory gaps that governments and companies need to address?
I don't know that it's governments. I think companies need to focus on responsible AI programs. If you roll out AI without rolling out responsible AI governance, it's not so much a regulatory problem, it's a business problem. You won't have the benefits of AI, and you may get with some of the litigation and other risks of AI. So I mean, regulation, governments will think about that, but I really want companies to focus on what they can do.
And I was listening to you backstage where you mentioned in your closing remarks that litigation takes a lot of time. Sometimes it takes 10 years. So what sort of measures the company should take to avoid such type of situations?
So testing your AI, test. The one of the best and worst things about modern AI is how easy it is to use. That's a great democratizing force, because now anyone can use an agent or a chatbot to solve problems. The problem is, the flip side, it's too easy to use without testing, without knowing if the results you're getting are accurate and reliable. So companies need to realize, just because a tool is easy and powerful doesn't mean you can roll it out without safeguards. If you put the safeguards in place, there are some real common sense measures that can help you have success and really avoid a lot of the problems.
And there's been a lot of trust issues as well when it comes to adoption of the AI. A lot of fintech companies are adopting to AI. So what one advice you would like to give to those companies before they roll out any segment, something like that?
Well, so companies that are making and rolling out AI, they need to test it. They need to test it in real world conditions. We do a lot of red teaming, which is where our lawyers and our data scientists basically attack models in a friendly way to see what their boundaries are. Will they misbehave? Will they get answers right? Will they make stuff up? Will they do things, for example, in a financial setting that violate financial regulations? Sometimes AI does things that puts the company into a legally compromising position. You can test it in advance and put policies and safeguards in place to make sure, or to do the best you can to help it stay within the law. That's my mission, is to help companies test their AI in advance to make sure that it's behaving.
And one important question which everyone is thinking right now, is AI going to take our jobs?
No, it's going to change our jobs. Look, there's no question that technology changes the labor market, and I'm not naive. AI is able to do a lot of things that humans can do. However, throughout history, every time we've replaced one set of jobs, traditionally we've developed new things for people to do, or we've raised the standard of living. So I'm actually an optimist that if governments and companies and civil society all work together, and we know what our values are, putting people first, making sure people have good gainful employment and retraining and jobs of the future, then I think AI can be a net positive.
And what exact role AI is playing in litigation and governance right now?
Yeah.
Is it moving at a very fast pace?
Yes.
Like, they are adopting it at a very fast scale, I believe so.
Yes, and lots of lawyers are finding themselves in trouble. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of lawyers in the United States have gotten into trouble for using AI and not checking the facts. And then the judge says, this case isn't real. And they say, oh, I used AI. Well, that's no excuse. We have a responsibility to check the AI, to pick the right AI, to test the outputs. And then I will say this, one thing we're doing as a law firm at DLA Piper is working on some of our own AI and testing it, because we know that we can do a good job with lawyers and technology teams working together to build trustworthy legal AI. So I just encourage people, really focus on the quality of the outputs and make sure that you have lawyers involved in legal AI.